in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecasts for week commencing the 2nd of September. I'm going to share some standout details to begin with, but please stay with me. Then on screen I'll share the event chart right at the start of the week, always influential and provides a backdrop for the following 7 days. Then I'll go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces to give you a flavour of what you can expect in terms of your ascendant, sun or the moon. It's a mightily powerful start to the week with Pluto, the planet of transformation, inversing back into the sign of Capricorn for one final time in our lifetimes. It was last in Capricorn on the 21st of January this year, and it moved into Aquarius on its birthday. But this inversion back into Capricorn is a final shakedown around some of the lessons, the outcome and consequences of Pluto's journey since 2008. I'm going to share about that with you, but also as the day goes on, depending on where you're located, there is the Virgo new moon. And the Virgo new moon is an opportunity each year to be a bit more virtuous, particularly about making our lives run that much more efficiently, but also changing small but important details that can improve our lot. But what about this year's new moon? Because it is afflicted by the planet of coolness and detachment, Saturn, on the other side of the heavens. So I need to unpack that for you. We've also got an electric link at the heart of this week between the restless vibe of Uranus and the planet of communication, Mercury. If this rings a bell, it's because it happened in August. It's being repeated because of the retrograde. Now, relationships are often an important area for many of us, and this week, Venus, in its home sign of Libra, is forging an important connection to the nodal axis. What will that mean for certain involvements for you? And then on Thursday, Mars, the planet of passion and desire, moves out of the chatty Gemini, where it's been for 6 weeks, and into the feeling sign of Cancer. It's not at its best in Cancer. It's known as being in its full, but it's here for 8 long weeks, which is very unusual. Usually Mars takes 6 weeks in each sign. It's going to be here for this extended stay because it goes into a retrograde in Leo in December. So lots of exciting stuff to share with you. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. If you're new to my channel, it's lovely to have your company. If you have any thoughts, please feel welcome to share them. This is very much a community. If you're a returning visitor, all your views, interactions and comments are truly appreciated. If you've yet to sub, please do so, and also click that bell notification symbol. I'm a consultant astrologer. If you'd like to discuss and have a consultation with me directly, please see my testimonials below. I don't edit these, I share them as is. Also, if you'd like to take advantage of my unique special offer, you can get your personal forecast for the rest of year 2024 free by ordering your year 25 now. Also, my special package, you'll get 30% off, and your life roadmap report. All this information is totally unique for the person it's produced for, and it will give you searing insights to guide your moves. It's great value. Also, I'd like to share with you about a truly fascinating and exciting new app. It's called Matchful.me. Relationships are a massive part of all our lives. It doesn't mean to say that we want to be in a romantic one or we're in a happy romantic relationship, but whether we're connecting with our neighbours, our family, our friends, our colleagues, we all need to relate, and Matchful is designed for all those potential outcomes. Matchful is based on Western tropical astrology, but also coupled with deep psychological profiling. It's not based on sun signs. If you'd like to investigate it further, please see the link below. If you type in Patrick as you join Matchful, you will get an additional discount. So on the screen now, I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week. And as ever, we need to be mindful of the position of the luminaries. The Sun in the practical Virgo, the position of Moon in late degree in the exuberant Leo. It's going to move into Virgo later in the day. But both the Moon and Mercury in Leo are forging glittering alliances to Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. If you're feeling in a good mood as you start this week, your good mood could be about pushing forwards with something practical, the position of the Sun, and also because Pluto inverses back into the practical Capricorn as the day goes on. If it is to do with your work that you want to make an impact, that's where your motivation could lie. But we do need to be mindful of the players in Pisces, because Saturn continues its long structural right angle to Jupiter, and Neptune is squaring off with Mars this week, and they can actually cause some complications. So if we get caught up with our enthusiasm but we're not quite clear on our motivations, that can cause some issues, and that brings us to that new moon. Usually a Virgo new moon is a great opportunity to reset, recalibrate by taking details and applying them in some kind of way that creates some marginal gains. But this year's new moon is opposite Saturn. Saturn can be a cool, detached, steely influence, but in the sign of Pisces, it's asking us to be mindful of the psychological domain, whereas the new moon in the practical, precise Virgo is very much to do with the physical domain. So whatever we're trying to achieve this week or over the following month on the back of this new moon, we need to be understanding of our deeper drives and motivations. If something is too much in the practical sphere, it might fall over, or if we're too bogged down in the emotion, we can't gain the motivation to do anything that gives us some tangible results. So a bit of a complex new moon, but it still does give us opportunities. But Pluto reversing back into Capricorn is very much a big deal. The sign of Capricorn is about the things that are well established. It's big business, big government, our more traditional approaches. This is the final shakedown. It goes on through to the 19th of November. If you'd like to understand more about this, please watch my deep dive video. But the week goes on with, on Wednesday, Venus applying exactly to that nodal axis. If there is someone that we want to connect to this week, just be aware of your approach, because a rushed approach, particularly with Mercury and Uranus chaffing against each other, which reaches a peak on Saturday. It last occurred on the 18th of August. It's being repeated because of the retrograde. So there's quite a lot of nervous energy at the end of this week. If we rush something, it's not going to be good. Now, Mars moving into Cancer is positive in a way, as it starts to shrug off the right angle that it's been experiencing with Neptune. But it's still hanging around, and we just need to be aware that Mars is also in a quincunx with Pluto. So because they're both about power in a way, we need to be aware that Mars in Cancer can see us a bit reactive, a bit defensive, a bit prickly. And although Pluto is inversed into Capricorn, we need to evaluate things very carefully before making too impulsive a decision, which is possible with Mercury and Uranus in a square. So that gives you the big picture of this week. I'm now going to go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Welcome Aries to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. You can be a very bubbly character, Aries, and with Venus accenting the North Node in your sign, listen to your instincts this week, particularly about your relationship situation. But it would be easy to focus on what's not quite right. We can all get caught up in this at times, but the new moon is in the perfectionist Virgo. And that starts to take shape, but in an opposition with Saturn, which is in a very deep lying psychological part of your situation. If work's not feeling quite as satisfying as you would like, or you don't feel that you're really reaching your goals, Pluto moving back into Capricorn as the week begins through to the 19th of November could give you the desire to push again to make some changes. Totally understandable. But Mars, your ruler, is conflicted at the start of this week by Neptune, which is located in a very deep part of your chart. And you may find that some of your motivations come from some fears, or perhaps you're not quite meshing with the people that you work with. Mars moves midweek into the feeling sign of Cancer. If you're someone who has got a hobby or an interest which you feel has got some potential to develop into a small business, Mars moving here can be a great asset. Mars can also be brilliant if you have got some domestic or do-it-yourself tasks to get through that you have been delaying. But the new moon, which occurs at the start of the week, is very much about finding improvements across the whole gambit of your situation. But if there is someone that you're finding it tricky to get along with at work, you may not actually get them to say outright what the issue is. What you can do this week is make sure that you don't concentrate too much on what's not quite perfect, because that can be a tendency with Virgoan energy. And Venus in your sector of relating suggests if you can be diplomatic in your approach, whatever you're dealing with, whether you decide to make a change professionally, or it's just in a current situation the demands seem high, or there's a lot of politics bubbling away, if you maintain that diplomacy and don't get defensive, it will be your best approach. But Mars moving into Cancer can see us get defensive. It can see us be a bit prickly. It's not its best location. And it's going to be there for 8 weeks, so it may be something you will need to practice. Also, as this week goes on, a very intense energy between Mercury and Uranus could see you tempted to splash out in order to relieve the pressure. Totally understandable, but if you do decide to make a purchase, it's probably best to make sure that it's something with a practical use, because otherwise if you just go for something to relieve some stress, it may be an item that you rue and live to regret splashing out on. So as the week draws to a close, a more practical dimension is shaping up, but it does give you the chance to be bubbly at the start of this week, but if you're clear about what you want. But if you do feel a bit bogged down, low on energy, look to find some refinements around your diet, your exercise routine, or just the demands that you have throughout each day, because that is going to be a really sensible way to work with this set of influences this week. Have a great week, Aries, and please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Taurus to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. With Pluto moving back into your sector of knowledge and travel from now through to the 19th of November, you could find yourself wanting to experiment in some kind of way. This week's new moon accents the 5th house of your situation. Ordinarily, a 5th house new moon is about as good as it gets. This is where we can showcase our charisma, flair, artistry, but also just have fun, mix and mingle and socialise. One of the challenges of this year's new moon for you is that it could be difficult to keep all of the people happy all of the time, because it may feel that quite a few people want a piece of you and you may need to prioritise. Otherwise you could end up trying to please everyone, particularly with your ruler Venus in a very practical location, but in the sign of Libra, which will make you more sensitive to other people's needs. But Saturn's saying, what are you getting from this in terms of your long-term plan? With Mars moving midweek, one of the ways that you can make all this energy work for you is to get more active, and you can get more active over the next 2 months. So whether it is through travel, moving around more, interacting with people more, keep your options open a little bit. And if you do feel that you are spinning a lot of plates to try to balance those needs of different players, the thing that you need to reflect on is what you need to do for you. It won't make you selfish, but if you are giving away your power a little bit, this is a week to reassert your thinking in terms of what you need around your personal space. And just to say, Uranus in your sign will be clashing with Mercury as this week draws to a close. So don't be surprised if you're living somewhere that feels a bit closed in, or you're in a relationship where you don't feel you get a lot of personal space. One of the great things you can do is go off and do your own thing as this week draws to a close. It's been great being with you, Taurus. Have a super week, and please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Gemini to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. The week begins with Pluto inversing back into Capricorn. Capricorn's about structures, but for you it's the 8th house. When Pluto moved into this area in 2008, it's a very psychological part of the situation, and you've probably gone through some deep transformations since then. Also, the 8th house can be to do with shared finance, but also long-term financial planning. The shakeout from what you experienced since 2008 is going to be revealed between now and the 19th of November. It's a time of outcomes. But also, as this week begins, Mars prepares to move out of your sign where it's been for the last 6 weeks, and it makes its way into your 2nd house. The 2nd house is all about everyday money, and the host Cancer may be a more emotional energy, but if you can feel your way to really shore up your foundations and use the energy of Mars in terms of being more protective, it's really going to be a good thing to do along with Pluto's retrograde. But this week also sees that new moon in your 4th house, which is about where you live, who you live with and how, but also your emotional world. But it's possible that worldly demands, or perhaps trying to look out for people close to you, their needs, are really starting to weigh quite heavily upon you. And that may be something that you could find a bit restrictive, particularly towards the end of this week when your ruler Mercury is back into a tense right angle with Uranus. So some energy or some information can come to the fore towards the end of this week, which puts you on edge to some degree. How do you deal with this? Well, I feel it's embracing the energy of Venus. Venus is in a very playful part of your scope now. It can be about attraction, but also about money. But also it can be about your creativity. If there's something that you can do that gives you some light relief, whether it's a hobby, a crafting interest, whether it's reading, whether it's socializing, take the chance to get out and have some time away from some of those pressing demands, because whether it is professionally, whether it is personally or at home, everyone needs some escapism, and I feel that's what Venus is offering you. And it may be, with its opposition to the North Node at the heart of this week, the one particular friend can just be the perfect foil. You may not have exactly the same interests or the same talents, but you can share things between one another, which is just going to be perfect for what you're encountering at this time. But for an air sign like you, the new moon is asking you to become more conscious of how things feel and being okay with that. And Pluto moving back into the 8th house is accenting that as well. So the emotional domain is not always easy for air signs to grasp, but that's the opportunity you have with some light relief this week. Have a great week, Gemini, and please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Cancer, it's your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. Powerful Mars arrives in your sign on Wednesday for an 8-week occupation. Mars is about thrust, but it's also about desire. It accents our individuality, but it's been in a very blunted but also psychological area for the last 6 weeks. If your moods have been somewhat up and down during that period of time, it wouldn't be a surprise. But also on Monday, Pluto, the planet of change, returns to your sector of relationships. Think back till 2008, you've probably experienced some big changes in this part of your situation. Pluto's asking you to revisit some of the things that have happened, to reflect. You're in a period of outcomes, but with Mars in your sign, you are going to feel much more on form, much more energized, and the new moon in the bubbly 3rd house suggests you're going to be in the mood to connect to others. With Venus in the part of your chart to do with home and family, you may get together with a sibling or a family member you haven't seen for a while, or if you're friendly with a particular neighbour, that relationship can also develop. But if you are thinking of travelling this week, just be aware that if you rush the planning, even if you're setting up some kind of plan to get away later in the year, it could reveal a bit of an issue. So it's going to be important to scrutinise exactly where you're going and all the planning around it in a very careful way. As the week draws to a close, there is an electric link between Mercury and Uranus. This could see you tempted to get in touch with a friend who's a little bit more edgy, perhaps a freer spirit, and you may decide to go out and have fun, and if you do, you can have a lot of fun. But it's also important to understand that this is a new moon that could invoke a lot of conversation. So if you do decide to have a more thoughtful conversation, just be aware that someone may have a completely different viewpoint to yours. Have a great week, Cancer. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Leo to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. It could be a really bright start to the week with the Moon very close to Mercury in your sign and both linking back to Mars and Jupiter in the part of your chart to do with friendships. So if you did have an upbeat weekend as you come into this week, that certainly can put you in good spirits and good heart. But we have Pluto inversing back into a very practical area. Since 2008, I think you've been very sacrificing to support others. But between now and the 19th of November, you're asked to make sure that other people are equally being mindful of your needs, whether it's who does what and shares what in terms of the domestic chores or the type of work you do. You need to feel valued, and that's going to be underlined by the new moon this week, which is in your 2nd house. The 2nd house is about our life foundations, but it's also about our sense of self-worth. A new moon gives us the chance to work on that area. So if you feel that you could improve your income or make some extra economies, the position of the sign of Virgo can help you to grapple with the details in order to achieve that. With Venus in a delightful part of your chart, suggesting that there can be some lovely conversations, particularly at the heart of this week. Maybe someone close to you can also be very encouraging or give you some good ideas. But Saturn does forge an opposition with that new moon. And balancing the ins and outgoings of your situation and also being mindful of the long-term position of your finances is something that you do need to stay abreast of. But there's an interesting development in the middle of this week because Mars moves into your 12th house. Over the next couple of months, someone you used to work with could be in touch and they may have a fresh business or job proposal for you. But it also can be a deeply psychological area, the 12th house. If there is parts of your history which are not quite resolved, Mars can have a tendency to bring those feelings up, whether it is to do with separations, hurt, loss, unfairness. Those kind of things can always be very evocative with Mars in the 12th house. But as the week goes on, Mercury in your sign does repeat a square with Uranus. That could actually give you a really brilliant idea which can help with those finances. It may be something that's a bit left field, but if you do have it, don't dismiss it if it is different. What you can do with this Virgo new moon is just check out the viability of something by thinking carefully about the practicalities. But that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't be open to something that is fresh, because it's the fresh ideas that ultimately really catch on. It's been a pleasure being with you, Leo. Have a great week. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Virgo to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. A dazzling new moon in your sign gives you the opportunity to showcase all that makes you truly valuable. But that may mean focusing more on your talents and what really interests you rather than providing the support and services to others, which is often the bedrock of your existence. But you've also got Mars giving you marvellous support, moving into the part of your situation that's very much to do with your connection to others. So if you do need to get a message out there, Mars can really be your ally. Also, Venus continues to help you financially, and Pluto moving back into your 5th house gives you an opportunity through to the 19th of November to make sure that you are really embracing your talents fully, but also your connections to others. So what's not to like? Well, it's just at the start of this week. Confusion could reign supreme, particularly when it comes to your professional situation, where you may be dealing with someone who's not really that interested in you strutting your stuff and showing your talent. They're much more interested in you complying with exactly what they want. And that's because of the squares between Saturn and Neptune to the positions of Jupiter and Mars initially at the top of your chart. But brace yourself, sometimes if we really want that golden prize, we do have to be very single-minded. So if there is something that's truly important to you, don't get put off because someone doesn't see it the same way. It could be a colleague, it could be someone closer to you, but keep going. Later this week, your ruler Mercury does forge a tense link with Uranus. But Uranus has been pushing you for some time to really liberate yourself from any kind of limitation of being too beholden to other people. But it's possible that a conversation could happen at the end of this week where someone reveals exactly what they truly feel, but stand firm. This is a once in a year opportunity to really showcase what makes you all about you. So do seize it. It's been great being with you, Virgo. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Libra, it's your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. One of the things that tends to get overlooked about your sign is that it's a cardinal sign. And when we get to the 23rd of September, that's when the sun returns to Libra and we get the third of the 4 cardinal quadrants. And that gives you a chance to really boost your energy, but also your drive. But until then, the sun is going to be in house 12, which is more reflective, and that's where this new moon is. But of course, you do have Venus back in your sign, your ruler, and Venus forges a delicious link to the North Node this week. Watch out for someone's body language. They may not quite tell you how they're feeling, because there is a certain amount of blocked energy this week, I feel. But with Pluto returning to your 4th house, I'm sure you are mindful of the impact that could have around your emotional situation or your family life. But actually what you're going to do between now and the 19th of November is see the outcome of all the hard work you've been putting in since 2008. But the cardinality factor is boosted hugely at the heart of this week, because then Mars, the planet of drive, but the planet of individuality, moves into the most prominent part of your scope, where he's going to be for 8 long weeks. Your opportunity to raise your profile, to go for your goals and ambitions with greater determination and thrust, is really developing from then. And it will get clearer from the 23rd of September. But also, this is a week when, as the week draws to a close, Mercury and Uranus tangle again. They got into a right angle exactly on the 18th of August. Now, Mercury's in the part of your chart to do with friendship. Uranus around your long-term finances, but also where you're most invested. If there is someone who disappoints you this week because you don't really feel that they're showing the support and perhaps even loyalty that you feel you deserve, this unique set of influences could see you take a much more determined and authoritative approach and break free if you don't feel that that person will ever truly understand the amount of sacrifices and support you've given them and what you've done behind the scenes over a long period of time, because you are moving into a period when you're going to assert yourself in an incredibly powerful way, which will manifest it most of all from the 2nd of October, when there is a supremely potent solar eclipse in your sign. Have a great week, Libra. All the best. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Scorpio, it's your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Sometimes in astrology we will get paradoxical energies, 2 contrasting, competing influences. This week is a point in case. The new moon is very social, asking you to connect to people who you can really feel an affinity to, just at a time when Venus, the planet of relating, is marooned in a very protective area, which can see you really thinking carefully about those contacts. But because your 2 ruling planets, modern of Pluto and traditional of Mars, both move into parts of your chart to do with communication, but also freedom, particularly in the case of Mars midweek. If there is a situation where you feel cramped, limited, and you can't really express yourself, whether it is a romantic tie or a friendship, you may at least need a little bit of space over the next few weeks. This is because Mars moving into Cancer is going to see you more in touch with how things feel, but also it's going to fire up that part of you that can be very independent. If you have yet to travel this year, you can find Mars moving into this area can give you a real sense of adventure. But also the new moon is opposed by Saturn. Saturn's in the part of your situation to do with your personal charisma and self-expression, and it has perhaps been limiting you a little bit. However, if there is a close involvement where you do not feel that your future lies with that person, I think that this is going to be a crucial phase for you. And your thinking, Pluto back into the third house, needs to align with your ideals, Mars in the ninth house. Towards the end of this week, however, there could be some kind of connection with someone professionally. At first, it might not seem to be an ideal connection, but perhaps they see things in a slightly different way to you. But give this a chance. They may have some slants or perspectives which actually can be very refreshing and helpful to you. So as the week draws to a close, the need for space or independence or a bit more adventure could play out in your professional sphere as much as your personal or private areas. Have a great week, Scorpio, and please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Sagittarius, your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Sometimes in life opportunities will come up which mean that we have to switch our focus away from something that actually we're more naturally comfortable with. And so it is this week. There's a chance for you to really showcase your talent, to take on a leading role, to also burnish your goals and ambitions. And it all comes through the new moon. But it may mean that you can't focus quite so much on the internal part of your situation, home, family, and more emotional issues. But with Mars moving out of your sector of relating, which has given you a lot of ability to assert your boundaries more recently, now you're going to find out just how committed someone can be. It doesn't have to be in a romantic situation, it could be in a business dimension, but Mars dives deep for 8 weeks. If you really want to make more money and apply yourself, Mars's move along with Pluto's on Monday really gives you a great chance, because your desire is really going to be amped up by this switch. But with Venus in a very charming part of your scope, your connections to others can still be gilded with a lot of diplomacy. And particularly at the heart of this week, when Venus goes face to face with the North Node in your 5th house. So as much as you can take a leading role, you can still connect well to other people, but I feel that you're going to be very determined to make sure that the connections you make are truly ones where the commitment is just as much there from their side as your side. But right at the start of this week, you could find yourself feeling a bit restless. And ironically, that energy can come up again at the end of the week. So it may require you to just unclutter all of your demands, and if you really want to seize that prize, you really will have to focus on that one particular goal. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Capricorn to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Pluto, the planet of change, moves back into your sign for one final pass through to the 19th of November. If you've got planets or positions right at the end of Capricorn, you're going to feel this more intensely. Pluto asks us to really evolve. When we resist that evolution, that's when it causes the issues. So if there is something that still needs to be shook out of your life, which isn't working for you, That's really what Pluto's asking you to be attentive to. But Mars, the planet of desire, moves into your sector of relating, which can be a real asset to you over the next eight weeks. If there is someone, be it professionally or personally, who's not really respecting your boundaries, Mars here will give you more assertion. But also, if you would like to spark something romantically, Mars gives you much more desire to make that happen. The new moon this week occurs in the part of your situation that's to do with travel, higher education and knowledge. You could find yourself wanting to open up your world, but it may not necessarily be quite in the way that you would expect, because Saturn, your ruler, blocks off the new moon and can create some obstacles. However, Venus, the planet of relating, is in a lustrous part of your scope in terms of your professional situation. So these relationship scenarios that I'm describing could play out at work as much as in your personal situation. Right at the heart of the week, there is an opposition between the North Node in your sector of emotion and family and home, but also Venus. If there is something you want to change about your abode, this would give you the instincts, certainly decoratively, to make some really lovely choices. Towards the end of the week, however, there is an electric right angle between Uranus in your 5th house of self-expression and brilliance, really, but also Mercury in your 8th house. This could push you towards an opportunity which maybe is more speculative. But if you are relating to someone and there's a contractual matter, all the influences this week ask you to really scrutinise the paperwork carefully and to establish who would do and contribute what carefully before you make a binding decision. But you know, that can be just as true in a romantic situation. If you are lucky enough to have things a little freer and easier at the moment, getting away with a loved one can certainly be something that could be a real tonic. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Aquarius, your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. Jupiter, the planet of fortune, visited the most dazzling part of your scope for the first time in 12 years in late May. It's going to stay there through to early June next year, so it is going to give you plenty of possibilities. But by the middle of August, your traditional ruler Saturn was inhibiting Jupiter in a big way. And as we go into this new week, that continues to be the case, and that could be creating quite a lot of frustration. But also right at the start of this week, your modern ruler Uranus, which is a very edgy energy, is squaring up with the moon in your sector of relationships. Someone close, you and they may feel a little out of kilter as you go into this week. But the new moon suggests if you move into your armchair psychologist mode, which many Aquarius people have a great gift for, if you dive deep into your situation, you'll be able to see the value. It's just that you may have to quarry out the nuggets of goodness because Saturn is in an opposition with that new moon. But also Pluto, the planet of change, leaves your sign and returns to your 12th house, which could create some uncertainty, self-doubt, even anxiety. And yet Mars, the planet of drive, moves into a very energized part of your scope, which is going to give you a lot more stamina over the next 2 months. So that's a real asset. Also, Venus is in your sister air sign of Libra, brilliant for identifying the truth around your financial, but also your romantic involvement. But by the middle of the week, Venus is aligned with the North Node. This is an intersection point in the sky, but it's very much to do with our instincts. If you have a conversation at the heart of this week which feels right, do be guided by it. As the week goes on, Uranus is once more active, squaring up with Mercury, the planet of communication, in your sector of relationships. Here you're being asked again, just like at the start of the week, not to get too caught up if things feel edgy. Stay with the program basically, and essentially this is a new moon which can bring opportunities around business, investments and so forth, but you have to be very exacting. It's not a time to be hugely flamboyant, but that energy of Mars will certainly give you a lot more determination to drive forwards with what's really important to you. Have a great week, Aquarius, and please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more. Welcome Pisces to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 2nd of September for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. There's a big shift in the heavens this week. It begins on Monday with Pluto moving into your sector of future plans, but also your network and connections to others. You have a window of opportunity through to the 19th of November to really clarify exactly what you need. But also the new moon early in the week is asking you to think about your connections to others. That doesn't have to be only in a romantic context. It could be where you want to reinforce your boundaries. It may be where you want to build an alliance professionally. But with Mars moving into your sister water sign on Wednesday for 8 delicious weeks, that's going to give you an enormous uplift in terms of your sense of attractiveness, but also going to give you more desire to be more outgoing, playful and sociable. Now, Venus, the planet of relating, is diving deep for you at the moment, but its connection to the North Node midweek could make you much more conscious of who you have a kind of spiritual as well as physical connection to. The week ends with Mercury and Uranus in quite a frazzled right angle. Mercury for you is in the part of your situation to do with details. And of course the new moon is in the sign of details of Virgo. So being very precise this week is going to be important, particularly because Saturn in your sign does mean that whatever you are trying to achieve or whoever you're trying to link to, it has to be absolutely spot on to succeed. But by the end of this week, if you are trying to pack in too much, and you can be someone who gives a lot to other people, it's probably time to throttle back and create the space to do something a lot more sociable to bring the cosmic curtain down on this week. Have a great week, Pisces. And please do check out getting your year 2024 personal forecast for free if you order your 25 chart now, and also you can get your life roadmap report for 30% off. Each chart totally unique for the person it's produced for. They give you searing insights and they're great value. Please see below for more.